What is going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome you guys back to Red's World. So today, we're going to be getting into Little Nightmares 3 for the second episode. If you didn't see the first episode, that'll be posted on YouTube. Good lord, camera, you gonna focus? That'll be posted on YouTube, so definitely check it out. Alright, let's see. Um, I'm, hmm. You know what? We're gonna start off with this. Ew, what in the world? That's crazy.
AI horror.
Okay, hey, we'll do this.
AI horror, they come in games, pictures, and now a video format. We are diving into the world of AI. Now, in this topic, we are going into AI-generated horror videos.
If y'all have seen recent AI,
Oh,
it's crazy.
Oh, God. Nah, you can stay out there.
Am I watching? Okay, we'll see.
Oh. Why is eye so big?
Oh, hell no. Why'd he ask if he could just open the door?
Yeah, we ain't watching these guys react and stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. No, I don't want to do that. I want it to be like actually creepy AI. Hold on. Okay, that started playing. I was like, what in the world?
Sometimes the truth.
I mean, what's going on with this? Okay, let's do the Sora, Gary Sora AI.
So you're
These are the scariest SpongeBob Sora 2 AI videos you'll ever see.
The kids will love it.
Holy shit! Hiya, neighbor.
Hey, SpongeBob, what's up?
Just enjoying the sunshine.
You shouldn't have stayed. It's so cold down here.
And that's how you tie the perfect knot, Pat. Could possibly go.
Huh? SpongeBob Marathon on a Thursday? Nice.
Wait, what the?
These are horrible. Okay, let's do abusing Sora video AI.
Sora 2.0 just came out, and today
What
we're
is this? I'm reacting to random AI videos now, and then I'm gonna watch something else. But AI is so good, it's scary, man.
limits by making absolute slop. Because let's be real, that's more fun than thinking about how completely and utterly fucked we all are. I know exactly what I want to do for our first test here. Will Smith eating spaghetti sloppily and enjoying it a little bit too much. Always gonna start these things with a spaghetti check.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's so good. Woo.
I don't even care. I'm making a mess.
He doesn't care. Yeah, that is concerningly good. It actually goes in his mouth. It comes off the plate. Doesn't quite look like Will Smith, but
Not at all.
What about a man running around a supermarket causing chaos, filmed like an episode of The Office?
Said he was doing a stress test on the store.
Let's go. Don't you? Oh, no. Milk time.
Milk time.
You guys stock the floor slippery on purpose?
Whoa. So much just happened.
Dude, AI is too good. What is this? Go to the channel. Dan Dingle? Is that what you're asking?
That clip. I love the cutaway gag to the woman saying.
Said he was doing a stress test on the store.
It actually made my bullshit prompt kind of make sense somehow.
Stop!
I'm good. You guys stock the floor slippery on purpose?
You guys got the floor slippery on purpose? That was you, my guy. That was literally just you. Okay, going with the Office theme. What about the Office scene where someone is stuck in quicksand?
Hold on, Mia. Don't move.
I'm not exactly going anywhere, Jake.
Why is there quicksand in the floor? Old building. You dig too deep, you find the swamp.
I love his like double take on the quicksand or his delayed reaction. It's like, wait, don't move.
Go to the channel. That's crazy. I'm gonna keep watching this one though. I like that he's showing the prompt.
The quicksand on the floor. And this woman just looks baffled. The Office scene where someone keeps eating other people's spaghetti.
Jeremy, that's my lunch.
Oh, thought it was communal.
Communal spaghetti is crazy.
Dude, that's my leftover spaghetti. Weird. You both make the same sauce?
The container literally has my name on it.
Pork in it.
He cuts her off like 2 words into her sentence.
The container literally has my name on it.
pork in it.
Okay, we'll move on from The Office. A man trying to record a YouTube video but keeps messing up his line, so he smashes his computer, and I'm gonna really hope this is violent.
Hey guys, welcome back to the no, okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna show you how to Come on. Hey everyone, it's Ryan, and today we're talking. Nope, forget it.
Oh,
I'm done.
did he try and snap his neck as well? Damn. It's kind of crazy how real this looks.
Yeah.
Like that's genuine annoyance on his face somehow. Let's remix it and say, make it 100 times more violent.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna show you how to come on.
Whoa.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan, and today we're talking. Nope, forget it. Son of a. We're done.
Did it just censor him?
Nope, forget it. Son of a.
That actually made me jump when he shouted at me like that as well. And then the icing on the cake.
That's
is
pretty
just knocking
good.
him over. Let's try making him even more mad.
No, you said it was guaranteed. Now you're telling me it's sitting in customs? I don't care about their paperwork. I needed it yesterday. Find someone who can sign. Forget it.
Leo, hey, just
Don't
breathe
tell
a
me to
second.
breathe, Alyssa.
God
It's the third
damn.
delay this week.
First off, this is no longer the same guy. This is an entirely different scenario. And second off, what the hell did Alyssa do? She did not deserve that.
Leo, hey, just
Don't
breathe
tell
a
me
second.
to breathe, Alyssa.
What the hell? I want to try a documentary style thing. It did.
I hate to say it, but I don't even know if you have to pay for this stuff. I'm sure you can get it for free, but it's infinite content. This is crazy. All you need is a decent prompt. Oh my god, that is terrifying.
The Office decently well, so we'll try a documentary style clip of Shakespeare reacting to Romeo and Juliet and breaking down over
They
it.
have made my lovers into pottery, and yet I feel them still. The tenderness is there beneath the hats, the paint. I ought to be angry, but the story still beats and it breaks.
Oh no. This is literally that meme of in the future humor will be randomly generated. I don't know how to feel about this.
And yet I feel them still. The tenderness is there.
It's so perfect.
I ought to be angry, but the story still beats and it breaks.
I ought to be angry, but the story still beats and it breaks my heart. Let's see how creative this thing can be. I'm going to say found footage of the hot dog gobbler.
Good lord.
Whoa. Holy shit. It can do POV footage really well, I guess. But
That's
I don't know, I was
terrifying.
stuck to look at that fence at the end. Now I want a vlog from the hot dog gobbler eating the dogs.
What's up, Pat? It's your boy Hot Dogger Gobbler, checking in from the fairground leftovers. Cart tipped over.
Dude, this is too good. We don't need people anymore. This is crazy, and these prompts are insane.
And look, free dinner. Got this one with mustard. Watch the stretch. Crunchy bun, soft dog. That's a 10 out of 10 right there.
I will say this. I'm completely okay with this type of AI usage. I don't know what his other videos are like, but when people make AI videos and then they just use them, I think that's kind of corny. I like that he's explaining what he's prompting, the creative process. It's like, wow, it's really good at that. Now I want to see a vlog. That I'm okay with that because it makes you still feel like It's his idea versus it's basically him coming up with an idea and then seeing how good the AI is. I'm cool with that. However, people using AI as like, this is my idea, I don't like that.
I'm gonna what? I love the hot dog gobbler. More hot dog gobbler content. POV, you're a hot dog running from the hot dog gobbler.
Come back here, Snack! Nope, I just want one. Gotta keep moving. You can't hide in that bun forever. Oh, Mustard, I'm gonna gobble you whole.
I'm gonna what? Your hole?
I'm gonna gobble you whole.
I'm gonna gabble your hole. This one's really random, but it just came to me, so I'm gonna do it. Standard routine, but somebody throws a goat to the comedian.
You ever notice how airport security can spot a bottle of water but miss the emotional baggage? I'm like, sir, this is 15 kilos of trauma. Whoa, what the? Did somebody just throw a goat at me?
For one, the voice sounded really weird, and I don't know if that was like on his end, but a lot of these are filmed like commercials, which is pretty weird because like that to me felt like a Allstate commercial or something, like just super cheesy, low quality CGI. It's not like insanely high quality, but it looks like it's real people. It looks like it's real footage edited with like a cheaper style.
Somebody just throw a goat at me? No, you imagined that. There's no goat. What about stand-up goat, but somebody throws a comedian? If you want more amazing prompts like this, make sure to subscribe so we can hit 250k by the end of the year.
Goats? People tell me goats are taking all the jobs. Yeah, but at least we don't take long lunch breaks.
I was not expecting a rugby tackle on the goat. That's fucking wild.
Jobs? Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that segues us pretty well into round 2.
That's pretty good, man.
The biggest selling
Physics.
point I've seen about this AI is the physics apparently are great. Our latest video generation model is more physically accurate, realistic, and controllable, blah blah blah. So in this round, I'm going to put that to the test. First thing that comes to mind is trampolines. So let's do a man bounces on a trampoline, but every time he bounces twice as high until he eventually flies super high into the atmosphere.
Whoa!
Oh, it's POV style.
Higher! Oh man, that's the whole block! Ha! I'm in the clouds!
Oh my god.
No way, the curve of the earth!
See, the way to tell that this one is AI is that he mentions the curve of the earth, which, as we all know, is not real. Let's try that again.
Whoa, that was higher. Oh man, this is
Definitely
crazy.
Yeah, these are really
I'm above
bad.
the houses, through the clouds.
That looks
Still
terrible.
going. Oh, look at that view. I'm in the atmosphere.
Is that Interstellar music in the background? It added Interstellar music.
I'm above the houses, through the clouds. Ha! Still going. Oh, look at that view. I'm in the atmosphere.
It's like super distorted, but I'm pretty sure you can make out the Interstellar music there. It kind of underwhelmed by the trampoline video.
This
but
is
the one
so
never fails.
interesting
Hydraulic
to
press
me.
videos. Hydraulic press video of 100 eggs getting squashed.
100 fresh eggs under the press. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's a lot of yolk. And fully flat. Beautiful mess, and it smells like breakfast in here.
Your breakfast is raw eggs? This is those hydraulic press channels on YouTube like 10 years from now when they're getting really, really bored of it. Like, yes, the hydraulic press is going down and oh, no way, it crushed the eggs. That is wild.
Today we're putting 100 eggs under the press. Let's see.
That one was good. The first one just looked like an egg waterfall.
That's a lot of omelet material.
Yeah, definitely make an omelette with that and all the eggshell that's in the eggs. Damn, now I kind of want to see someone making an omelette, but they've kept all the eggshells in there.
100 eggs, shells and all. Let's do it. Every shell goes in. That's the point.
Oh.
Shells clean.
I don't know how long these take to generate, but like, let's assume it's 5 minutes. Let's even assume it's 5 hours. If you can make one of these videos a day, you can generate so much content. But even beyond that, if it's not already to the point where we can make these in like 10 seconds, 30 seconds, once it gets to that point, dude, you have endless content. Now, again, it still takes a creative mind to think of random stuff, but dude, man, the world is about to change in a very fascinating way. Because if you think there's a lot of content now, this is about to flood everything. This is crazy. I think a lot of people get scared of AI taking over the world, but like, you got to think about like, if an AI is created to generate views and an AI is generated to create like monetization for channels and stuff, there's no way you can keep up because it knows the algorithm better than anybody. You would have to use that AI to keep up. So rich people will get richer using this stuff. It's gonna be weird, man. Honestly, you know, the whole AI taking over the world and all that stuff, I'm not necessarily concerned with that. I think this is going to completely change the way the economy works, literally. I think everything we know is about to change pretty quickly. At the latest, I give it 15 to 20 years, and everything's going to be different. But hopefully for the better.
Looking around like gravel. Look at that texture. All right, big bite. Crunchy.
Ugh.
Look at that texture. Look at all those shells in there. That extra crunch. What about some skateboarding physics? Let's try skateboarder falls off and tumbles down a hill. Oh. Oh my god, it's so awful.
Good, yeah.
That was so, like, badly edited. It had so many unnecessary cuts. It was like that Liam Neeson jumping over a fence clip. Let's do some skateboarder crazy tricks. Oh, man.
Yes! Let's go!
That ending is amazing. He's looking at the camera, heading towards the fence, and then you just hear the start of him crashing into the fence.
Let's go!
The thing is it's indistinguishable from real life on simple stuff. When you ask crazy stuff that it has no point of reference, it might have difficulty. But like, this, you prompt it to make skateboarding videos and it does it no problem.
But a music on this one. The music opens a whole new thing. Let's do a funk fan cam edit of a skateboarder who falls over in every single clip.
Ride till I crash, till I stand, bruise on the headboard in my hand. Dust in my teeth, sweet I land or I land. Beat in the trunk like thunder when it rolls. Cowbell clack 808.
He messes up every single trick.
Dude, that's too good.
Poor guy, poor guy. This one will be a good physics test. A man shoots an RPG at a train, derailing it, and then the train flies into a building and destroys it.
Locked. Firing.
Oh, oh my god. Into the... Oh my god. Holy shit.
That'll do.
That'll do. That is actually...
Oh, that's great. That is crazy, man.
Wild. Oh my god. Cinematic as hell. I love the interior shot we get of everyone walking and then a train just comes in. Okay, more train physics. A train derails and drives through
that's
buildings in a small
crazy.
village. Oh my god, there were people. That's so violent. That's amazing. It found its way back. It found its way back to the train track at the end. I feel like these guys are running towards the train.
This feels like Sharknado.
The train derails, destroying buildings, then tunnels into the ground and destroys the earth. Oh. Oh. Into the ground. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Lord.
Yo. That generation really went off the rails. So round 3, I asked you guys to send me prompts to use. Number 1 is emus invading Florida. Okay, I kind of love that. Let's do it as like a news broadcast there.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news out of Florida, where flocks of emus are roaming through neighborhoods from Tampa to Miami.
Oh my god.
These birds are strong runners and can be aggressive if cornered.
I feel like it does.
What the fuck? This one's crazy good. Why does it look this good? First off, the text actually says something. Report sightings to hotline 866-555-EMU for hotline to emus. That's to the emus? You're reporting the emu sightings to the emus. Okay. The crazy ground.
I was gonna say the animals look bad, but it might be his video compression because of the fur.
Graphic here that shows emu sightings the past 48 hours. There's at least 5 emus that have been spotted. How are they ever going to get this under control? Apache helicopter having a nice meal with very elongated hands. From Apache helicopter 69. I appreciate the commitment, so we'll try.
Perfectly tender.
Oh.
You can't beat dinner with a view like this.
Oh, whoa, what?
Here's to quiet sunsets.
That is actually wild. I didn't.
Dude, you could literally just make a channel with just stupid random stuff. This is the modern day Robot Chicken, but you don't have to draw, animate, voice act, or nothing. AI does it in seconds.
I don't think it was gonna make anything like that. It literally gave
This
the
is
helicopter a mouth.
crazy,
How do you do
man.
that? Flying.
This is
people
a
eating
threat.
Seagulls fries. That's awesome.
It's definitely a potential threat to everything, but it's more importantly and immediately a threat to the entire entertainment, like, universe, dude. We're gonna be so unnecessary.
Okay, that's a different interpretation than I expected.
Nothing like hot fries in cold air.
Seagull fries hit different up here.
They're shaped like the birds chasing us.
Oh, so seagulls are like the brand, I guess. You think you outsmarted me, AI, but I'm gonna try again. Seagulls standing on the seafront eating fries, but then humans fly down from the sky and steal them. Okay, this is better. Oh my god, they're paragliding in.
Got a prize secured.
And they are tiny.
Snatched right out of his beak. Sorry, buddy.
All right, lift off.
I look like a McDonald's commercial
They're
or
counting
something.
down for liftoff after they've already lifted off. Without that minor error, I wouldn't have been able to tell this was AI. An army of winged elephants storming a medieval castle. Black and white historical footage. I like that.
News from the front. The king's old fortress faces an assault the like of which history has scarcely seen. Steady! Armored elephants, newly trained for the air, thunder across the plain and rise on mighty pinions.
That's crazy. I love the shot of the elephants flying through the air. Although I'm not quite sure what that is supposed to be.
Just tell,
Let's move on
man.
to round 4, which is looking at the feed and what other people have made. So at this point, this is basically AI TikTok. Oh my god, that jump scared me. So yeah, we're just gonna take a look, maybe get some inspiration for the final round. And yeah, just inject the slop right into my brain.
Pika. Shh. Hey there. Listen to the little crackles. Just like this. Soft, soft, soft. Relax. You're safe.
Get ready, because in a very short amount of time, this is all you're going to see on YouTube Shorts. We are
Literally.
doomed.
Yeah.
Hype, but make it biblical.
Hey, Rabbi, that's my donkey.
Halt! My order of Caesar!
I don't know why Shrek's there. That's my donkey.
That's my donkey.
The objective is...
Why is he holding his hand up?
Optional, avoid Roman attention. 0 out of 3. Fish. Interesting.
He's right there by the ribeyes.
Got eyes. Hey, buddy, easy. Drop the steaks for me.
Okay, I've got the bag ready.
Come on, pal, let him go.
You're a good boy till just now.
You're a good boy till just now. Brutal.
There we go. Thank you. All right, second one.
Those stakes secure.
Stakes are evidence, okay? Come on, partner, let's head outside.
That looks so real. How will you ever... Dude, listen. I know old people are cooked right now, but I mean, good. I'm going to tell you guys how to decipher real from AI. This is the only way. Anything that is actually creative and different is probably AI. Because people are now going to be so lazy that AI is going to generate everything creative. And everything else will just be simplified human stuff. Man.
Body cam footage of cops arresting a dog stealing meat. Oh my god. Okay, we definitely got to do some body cam footage.
That was a
in the
good
last
one.
round.
Peace be with you, gamers. Today I'm going to show
Jesus
you
playing
Minecraft
Minecraft.
without commands. Take your one loaf, drop it in the middle of the crafting grid, back out, and open it again. See that? Now we've got 2. Repeat that.
Interstellar music again. Why? This one has nothing to do with sci-fi or anything. It's just Minecraft at sunset.
Whoa, that's creepy.
What the hell is this?
Who are you supposed to be, little guy?
Pika.
Okay, you want some candy?
Pika.
Here you go.
I think that's a good place to leave that round.
That looks like an incredible commercial for like Pokemon Go or
This
something.
body cam arresting a dog, but then a nuclear explosion goes off in the background, and they're like, oh sh.
Easy, buddy. Pause together. That's it.
Leash is on. Got the cuffs locked.
The cuffs are not on him.
We're good.
Whoa, what's that light?
Hold up.
Oh my god. Oh shit. That's a mushroom cloud.
Oh, thank god it's not a nuke, it's just a mushroom cloud. I guess everyone was okay. What if it wasn't a dog getting arrested? What if we did a body cam of Ronald McDonald getting arrested?
And stay behind your back, all right? Just like that. Come on, man. It was a joke. People were laughing. Not the store owner. You're being detained for disorderly conduct. I was giving away fries.
He sounds genuinely offended. I kind of feel bad for him. But how is giving away fries a joke? Did he just jump over the counter and just start, like, handing them out? Damn, now we have to generate that, don't we? God's sake. CCTV footage of Ronald McDonald jumping over the counter at McDonald's and throwing all the fries to people in the store whilst manically laughing. There he is.
Fries for everyone!
Stop, dude!
Catch them while they're hot!
Fries for everyone proceeds to just throw them on the floor where he's standing. A crowd in
Dude,
London
it looks so real.
To a tsunami, which leads to the end of the world. Oh, oh my god.
I see one of the issues AI is having, though. I think it doesn't know... Without a prompt telling it exactly what camera angle, it creates really cheesy looking stuff. But as long as you give it a prompt with, like, basically, like, you need to be a director as well as a writer. Direct it and write it, and you'll have a perfect script every time. Perfect result.
This is the whole world. I love how the first thing that happens when they all jump is that Big Ben just randomly explodes. There's no correlation there, just the top of Big Ben just goes bang. GoPro camera on a bike that is riding away from Godzilla. Oh my god. That is not a... Oh my god. Bro is blind. He's saying he's right behind me. Does that mean there's two Godzillas? Because, I hate to be the one to tell you, buddy, but there's also one in front of you. What else do we want to do for destruction? I just want something really gross. The grossest thing. Oh, you don't want to see that. Just trust me when I say you do not want to see that. There's a pineapple slice. I'll show you the pineapple slice. And then there's a bug on the top as well. That's actually grim. That's so horrible. Cursed Ring doorbell camera with someone you wouldn't expect doing something you wouldn't expect. I didn't expect those guys. And then they just vanish. Is there like a skull in there? There's something in there, dude. That's fucked up. Okay, what else?
That's creepy.
There's an old lady with a coffin. No further questions. Just a sweet old lady carrying her own coffin.
Wait.
So they...
People are going to create ghost videos and make people think ghosts are real. Man, we are cooked, dude.
Have it. That is Sora 2. We have to laugh at it because otherwise we'll cry. Give me a
I'm not gonna lie.
comments.
That was a great video. That's exactly what I wanted out of that. Let me see. I'm gonna see. Give me a second. I got something else to watch, but I gotta. My girl wants me to watch something. Is it this? Okay, I guess we're watching that. Mr. Ballin's pretty good.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And today I'm going to share 3 stories that demonstrate that, and I'm going to tell them in reverse order. So it'll go 3, 2, 1, getting weirder and more bizarre as we go along. And also, these stories are of the more spooky variety too. So stranger than fiction and kind of spooky. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format,
oops.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And today I'm going to.
I'm not gonna lie, Mr. Ballin.
That, and I'm going to tell
your beard's coming in real rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
As we go along. And also, these stories are of the more spooky variety too. So stranger than fiction and kind of spooky. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button is counting something really important and they're taking their time counting through it, wait till they get close to the end and then begin wildly shouting out random numbers just to screw them up. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
More than a feeling.
At around 5 p.m. on August 29th, 1954, a 53-year-old woman named Juliet Exline had just sat down on her couch with a book inside of her home in Los Angeles when she got this weird wave of anxiety that kind of rushed over her. Now, there was nothing she could think of that would cause her to feel this way, and she even looked around her house thinking, maybe there was something weird going on, but there was nothing. And so finally, Juliet, she put her book down and just took a few calming breaths to kind of go back to normal. Like, she didn't know what was going on, but she could tell she was super anxious. Now, generally speaking, Juliet was a very mellow person. She was not prone to anxiety attacks like this, and so that kind of caught her off guard. And the only thing she could think of that was different than normal was her husband, Larry, was on a much needed vacation. And so the last couple of days while he'd been gone had been maybe more lonely in the house. And so maybe that was causing her to feel this weird stress. She didn't know, but she told herself, Larry's vacation was definitely a good thing. Larry was an exterminator, and over the past 2 years, he had not taken a single day off. He was a total workaholic, and so when Larry began to talk about wanting to take a break, Juliet had encouraged him to put in time for some vacation time, put in a request. And Frank had actually done that, and as soon as his boss had approved a 2-week-long vacation, Larry had been so pumped he had called his friend, and they had immediately scheduled a fishing trip, and 4 days before, Frank and his friend had driven off to enjoy his time off. And so as Juliet thought about that, she told herself that, you know what?
You don't think it's weird? I mean, I understand people don't always have schedules, but like if I go on vacation, I don't want to go by myself. I'm going to try to make plans to go with my girl. Like, I don't know.
Even if she was feeling a little bit anxious.
That's irrelevant as could be, but that's just
really was
where my mind was at with that.
It would improve not only his life, but her life as well. This was overall a good thing, and so she just needed to kind of deal with this anxiety that maybe or maybe not was connected to Larry. She didn't know. But the rest of that evening, Juliet just could not get rid of this kind of baseline low-level nervousness she was feeling. And so at some point, she began getting up and walking around her house and confirming all the windows were shut and locked and the doors were locked. She was drawing curtains, checking in closets, making sure everything was totally
So she got
safe.
paranoid, okay.
And then by 8 p.m., when she still just could not shake this anxiety, she decided she just needed to go to bed and kind of sleep this off. But after falling asleep, Juliet suddenly woke up at 10:15 p.m., drenched in sweat, with the most intense anxiety she had ever felt in her life. And she was totally disoriented. She's looking around her room like, what's going on here? And then she heard a voice. It was Larry's voice. Except he sounded funny. He sounded like quiet, as if maybe he was outside the house trying to come in and he was calling to her. And so kind of in a panic, she jumped out of bed, ran into the hallway, and right in the hallway was Larry. He wasn't outside. He was right there. Except something was wrong with Larry. He was kind of hunched over and grabbing his stomach, and he had his hand on the wall, and he also appeared to be soaking wet. And so Juliet had no idea what was going on, but between all that anxiety and now seeing Larry here in this weird state, she couldn't help herself. She just ran towards him to just make sure he was okay. But as soon as she got about a foot away from him, he held out his hand and said, "No, don't touch me. I have to go back." And what he said was so disorienting that Juliet just stopped and stared at her husband like, what is this? And that's when she made the startling realization that Larry was not soaking wet with water. He was soaking wet with blood, and he was clutching his stomach like something was bleeding in his midsection. And the reason he had sounded so quiet when he had called out to her and woken her up was because he was clearly hurt. And so Juliet has no clue.
I'm not sure where he got this information. I will take it as, just entertainment, so to speak. It could be a real thing. I'm sure he's reporting it as it was a real thing, but with that being said, I do feel like that would be a terrible thing to experience. Just envisioning this, but also she could have had a dream, which would still be weird. But yeah, that's crazy.
What's going on? Like, her husband was supposed to be 7 hours away on this fishing trip, and so how is he here? It didn't make any sense. And so really not knowing what else to do, Juliet just said, I'm gonna call the doctor. And so she ran past Larry, headed to the kitchen, and she was about to grab the phone on the wall, but before she could grab it, the phone began to ring. And so Juliet just answered it and said, hello, hello? And what she heard was the sound of a sheriff in Ely, Nevada. And he said, excuse me, is this Mrs. Exline, Juliet Exline? And she said, yes, what's going on? What's happened? And the sheriff said, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have some terrible news. Your husband got into a car accident, and unfortunately, he has passed away. And now the second the sheriff said this to Juliet, she just froze and goes, no, that's not possible. He's here with me right now. And Juliet turned around and looked into the hallway where Larry had been standing, and now Larry was gone. Larry really had died in that car accident because Juliet would bury her husband that week. But Juliet maintained that clearly after her husband had died, his spirit,
even if she had had a dream about that, that is weird,
had somehow survived the accident, because when she saw her husband standing in the hallway, hunched over and covered in blood, it was at 10:15 p.m. She remembers because when she woke up, she saw the time. It was 10:15. And her husband had died at exactly 10:15 p.m., the exact moment she saw him in the hallway. Juliet
That's
would
wild.
ultimately write an account of what she experienced with her husband. However, from that day forward, she never once saw her husband again. That was the only time.
The situation is terrible in general. Your husband goes to take a vacation, gets in a car crash, dies. You have some weird visions. You get called like that. That sucks. But if she experienced what she's saying, what she's saying she experienced, that's crazy. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
At 12:30 p.m. on March 7th, 2015, a police officer named Tyler Beddoes, along with his partner, were driving in his police cruiser near the Spanish Fork River in Utah when suddenly a police dispatcher came on over the radio. And this dispatcher was speaking very urgently and said, "Hey, a fisherman has just called in to say that he spotted what looks like an upturned SUV partially submerged in the Spanish Fork River right underneath the bridge. And whoever is closest to this bridge, get over there and see if there's anybody inside the vehicle that can be saved." And so Officer Beddoes and his partner, they knew they were very near this bridge. And so immediately they banged a U-turn, they drove to the bridge, but from the road they looked down and couldn't see any SUV. But they saw there were some firefighters and paramedics that were also converging at the spot on the road, and everybody's getting out and running down to the riverbank. And so Beddoes and his partner did the same thing. They got out and they ran down. And then finally, when they got to the riverbank and they saw underneath this bridge, sure enough, there was this red SUV, upturned, partially submerged, and he noticed right away that none of the doors.
Cops couldn't see the SUV from the bridge?
Had been opened in this SUV, and so it meant whoever was driving this vehicle when it flipped over very likely was still inside. And so Officer Beddoes and his partner and the other first responders just jumped into this icy cold river and began making their way closer and closer to this upturned SUV, which again, it's not fully submerged. It's like a third of the way underwater. So if you were sitting in the seat inside of this vehicle and you were an adult, your head would basically be in the water if you were still strapped into the seat. And as they're making their way towards this SUV, when they got close enough, they began hearing a woman inside of the vehicle screaming, "Hey, we're in here! Come over here, help!" But when Officer Beddoes and the rest of the first responders actually reached the SUV, the water was so murky and it basically completely covered up the windows that they weren't really able to look into the vehicle. They could just hear this woman yelling, but that was it. And then when they tried to open up the doors, they couldn't do it because the roof had begun to cave in, and so the actual framing of the door wouldn't open. And so all these first responders, it's like their adrenaline's pumping and they're like, "Come on, we got to push this thing up onto its side so we can get in." And so all these first responders are pushing and pushing, and slowly but surely they began to raise the side of this vehicle up until the windows suddenly were clear, and Officer Beddoes and the others were able to look into the car, and they saw there was a woman in the driver's seat and there was a baby in a car seat dangling upside down in the back seat, still strapped in. And so Beddoes began screaming, "There's a baby in here, there's a baby in here." And suddenly it was like everybody got extra strength and they pushed this vehicle all the way up onto its side. And then one of the firefighters climbed up onto the side of the car, which now was the highest point of the car. And he reached in and he clipped these straps holding the baby who had been upside down, dangling there, cut the straps and pulled the baby out and handed the baby over to Officer Beddoes. And then the firefighter began doing the same thing to get the woman out. But Officer Beddoes, at this point, he just took this baby, he turned away, he figured the first responders will handle this woman, and he's going to take this baby to safety, because he couldn't even tell if the baby was alive or not. And so he's cradling this baby, he's rushing back through the water, back to the riverbank, and then he hands the baby over to the paramedics, and right as he does, he sees this little baby begins to move its arms and flicker its eyes, and he wanted to weep out of relief that this child was okay. They put the baby onto a stretcher, they put the baby in the ambulance, and they whisked the baby away to the hospital where this baby would survive. But after the baby had been taken away, Officer Beddoes turned his attention back to the SUV and back to the woman to see how she was doing. But he could tell right away from the way people were acting, all the other first responders that were still dealing with the crisis in the water, the way they were acting indicated that something is off here. Well, it would turn out 14 hours earlier, so at around 10 p.m. the previous night, a 25-year-old woman named Jennifer Grossbeck had just left her father's house in Salem, Utah, and in her car was her little 18-month-old baby, Lily, who was in the back seat. And after Jennifer pulled away from her father's house and her father's on the porch waving to her, she began driving towards her home. But something happened around 10:30 p.m. that night We don't know what, but something caused Jennifer to careen off the road on that bridge and flip over and land in the water. Maybe she fell asleep at the wheel or an animal jumped out, we don't know. But we know at 10:30, she careens off the bridge and she lands in...
You know what'd be crazy is I've had a lot of dreams like this. What if the experiences you experience in your dreams are someone else's experiences? That would be crazy.
that river. And then for 14 hours, she and her baby remained upside down in that river. Until finally, Officer Beddoes and the other first responders came rushing over to open it up and get them out of there. And if you recall, all the first responders, Officer Beddoes included, heard Jennifer screaming that they were in the car, come save us, please. But what they would find out is that could not have been Jennifer, because Jennifer was killed on impact when the car fell into the water. Only Lily survived the crash, and then Lily, who's nearly hypothermic and she's upside down with water like 2 inches away from her head, for 14 hours she dangled there, and when she was pulled out, according to doctors, was like a couple of minutes before she would have died from hypothermia. And so without that voice, Lily almost certainly would have died, because it was the sound of that voice that really encouraged all these first responders to find the strength and get that car up on its side and then get the baby out of there. We don't know whose voice that belonged to, but for sure, it saved Lily's life. And again, baby Lily would make a full recovery, and to this day, Officer Beddoes and the other first responders, they know what they heard, and they do not have an explanation for it.
That's crazy.
Do you like scary stories about cryptid?
I was gonna say maybe something weird happened with like I don't know, maybe like the baby was crying or something, but I think you would know a difference between a baby's cry and a woman's.
Okay, back to the stories.
Also seemed like the baby was unconscious.
At around 9 p.m. on October 26, 2009, a 19-year-old college student named Miyako Hiroka bagged up the last bit of trash inside of the ice cream parlor where she worked.
I feel like I've heard that
dumped
name.
it into a bag, and she tied that bag up. It was closing time, and so Miyako looked around the inside of the parlor, made sure everything was where it was supposed to be, and then she flipped off the lights, threw her purse over her shoulder, she grabbed that bag of trash, she headed outside the parlor, she shut and locked the door, she dumped the trash in a nearby bin, and then began walking towards the exit of the mall, which is where this parlor was located. It was inside of this big mall. Miyako went to school in a city called Hamada City, which is located on the coast of Japan in an area called the Shimane Prefecture. And Hamada City was a totally beautiful and very remote location with these amazing beaches and unbelievable mountains with all these ski resorts on it. I mean, this was an incredible place to live. But as much as Miyako did love living there, she was actually far more excited about where she'd be living the next year because she was doing an exchange program. She'd be studying in Russia, and that was so exciting for her. And in fact, this exchange program was the reason why Miyako had picked up this ice cream parlor, because she came from a family that was not poor by any means, but they didn't have a lot of extra income, and Miyako felt strongly that she really wanted to pay her way to go do this big Russian exchange program because it wasn't cheap. And so she was picking up as many shifts as she could to save up money. And so Miyako eventually reached the exit of this mall, and she stepped outside into the night, and then she had a decision she needed to make, and she needed to make this decision every night after work. There were two ways that she could get back to her dorm, which was located about a mile away. The quick way would be to just hop on a bus and have the bus take her to her dorm, but that cost money. And remember, Miyako is trying to save up as much money as she can to pay for Russia next year. And so taking the bus just felt like, not really worth it. And the other option, which was free, was much longer and frankly just plain spooky. And Miyako hated it. What it entailed was basically just walking to her dorm, but it would mean walking for about 1/3 of a mile through this really spooky forest that looked like it was straight out of a horror movie.
1/3 of a mile? Do y'all realize how short of a walk that is?
Now, up until recently, Miyako's co-worker had always left with her at the same time, and they lived roughly in the same area, and so they would walk together through that forest, saving money, and also, providing each other security as they went through the spooky area. But recently, the coworker had quit. And so now Miyako was all alone. And so as Miyako stood there wondering what she should do, take the bus route or take the forest route, she just thought about, next year, it's all going to be worth it. I'm going to go to Russia. I'm going to pay my way. It's going to be awesome. And after all, what's the worst that can happen? It's just
you go to Russia. That's the worst that can happen.
Before long, I'll be in my brightly lit, safe dorm room, studying away, and everything will be fine. And so Miyako turned and began walking towards the forest. The following day, a little past 4 p.m., the owner of the ice cream shop where Miyako worked was standing inside the parlor feeling really annoyed because Miyako had not shown up for her shift, and now the owner, who normally did a lot of administrative and managerial things, was stuck at the counter serving all the customers, basically doing Miyako's job. But when 5 p.m. came and still Miyako had not shown up, and the owner had tried calling her and she didn't pick up, and there was just no sign of her, the owner went from being annoyed to being somewhat worried. And so after again not being able to call Miyako to figure out what was going on, he wound up going through her file and finding her mother's phone number, and he called her. And when he spoke to Miyako's mother, he knew right away there was something wrong. Because Miyako...
Yeah, that's the difference between American culture. If I don't show up to work and you call my parents, we got a problem, bro. But most likely it's because they're like, you didn't come to work today, blah, blah, blah. So, like, in this case, maybe their culture is different, but, like, no, don't do that.
His mother actually was pretty panicked, and she said, you know what? Last night when Miyako was coming home from work, she told me she would call me when she got to her dorm, but I never heard from her, and I haven't been able to get in touch with her since. And so after this conversation ended, Miyako's mother would call the police and report her daughter missing. And pretty much instantly, the police in Hamada City responded in force. I mean, they launched a huge investigation to go figure out what happened to Miyako. And really the reason behind that is because Hamada City is this unbelievable place, this secluded, safe place where things like this did not happen. And frankly, it scared everybody, and they wanted to deal with it as quickly as possible. And so what police did...
Why is my audio on TikTok?
At first,
that should not be coming through my microphone. Okay, so what in the world? Maybe it's just tripping?
Is they went and looked at security footage from the ice cream parlor where they knew she had been working on the night she went missing. And sure enough, at about 9:16 p.m., there's footage of her walking out of the ice cream parlor in the mall. She's got her purse open.
What is happening?
Over her shoulder, and she shuts and locks the door, she throws the trash away, and then she heads towards the exit. But after that, nobody...
Why is the video audio coming through?
Nobody saw her. There was
only on TikTok. This is so bizarre, dude. You can't make this stuff up, man.
There's no more footage.
Wait.
There was no more tips or anything.
Wow.
She just vanished once she left the mall. And so very quickly, this story gained lots of attention because, again,
does it sound better now?
Hamada City is like this quintessential vacation spot. It's so perfect. It's so safe. And to have this girl just go missing, It was scandalous. And so it made the news all over Hamada City, and also people who lived in Hamada City were suddenly on edge at night. You know, what's out there snatching people up? In fact, Miyako's college, during the few days following her disappearance, they set a curfew for all their students. Like, all their students had to be back in their
this would
dorms
never
at a
be done in
certain
America.
time to keep
So shout out to them.
But again, despite the police really leaning into this case from the jump and putting all their manpower and all their resources into this, they really had no idea what happened to Miyako. Then, on November 6th, 2009, so 11 days after Miyako went missing, a man who was hunting for mushrooms up on this mountainside about 15 miles away from the ice cream parlor believed he spotted this beautiful mushroom sitting underneath a few fallen leaves. And so excited, the guy runs over and he begins moving away the leaves to grab this big meaty mushroom. But as soon as he grabbed the skin of this mushroom and began to pull, he stopped. And then he quickly turned and began sprinting back down the path that had brought him up here. And as he was running, he pulled his phone out and he saw he had no service, and he just kept on running and holding the phone up looking for service. And then finally, when he was about halfway down the mountain, he saw he had service in his phone and he called the police. And the second the dispatcher answered, this man began screaming, "I found a human head!" When police arrived on that mountainside where this man claimed to have found a human head, well, they confirmed he was right. They found Miyako's severed head right underneath those leaves. And the reason this guy thought her head was a mushroom, a dark color...
Well, even in a better society, and I don't want to say better society, that's being subjective, but like, even in a society where it seems like they care a little bit more about little things, you still got a girl getting beheaded in the forest.
Mushroom, because it was obvious that Miyako's face had been so badly beaten and it was all black and blue before she lost her head. And so this mushroom hunter had literally thought that was a...
Imagine grabbing that and being like...
The Hamada City Police...
Oh my God!
...area of search from around the mall and the ice cream parlor where they thought they would find Miyako to this forested mountain area where her head was found. And now, of course, it was no longer a search and rescue, it was a recovery mission. They're just looking for the rest of Miyako's body. And over the next couple of days, as police searched this forested mountainside, they would find different parts of Miyako all over the place. And then after they had found, all the pieces to Miyako, the running theory, based on what they were seeing, is that very likely she had been strangled to death, and then her body was burned, and then she was dismembered and scattered throughout this forested mountain area. But there was very little evidence about who had actually done this to Miyako. Miyako had no enemies to speak of. Everybody who spoke about Miyako said she was incredibly lovely and kind, and really there wasn't anybody in her life that would want to do her harm. And also because Miyako's body had been destroyed and left out for so long, any trace evidence left behind by her killer or killers was basically non-existent. And so the police really had no leads to speak of. They had no suspects or anything. And so they called in psychologists to try to make, a profile of who they thought might have done this. And the best theory anyone could come up with was that this had been a random crime of opportunity, that the person who killed her didn't know her, and that likely her killer was a man who was likely between the ages of 20 and 40. But even that information really didn't narrow anything down, and so quickly this case began to go cold. But as the police investigation itself began to go cold, the kind of lore around this story was only growing. I mean, this really seemed like a totally unbelievable case, considering where it happened. I mean, Hamada City is like this perfect place. How could this happen here? And so what started as being kind of a local news story, albeit a big local news story, became a major national story all over Japan. And so all these TV outlets and journalists were descending on Hamada City, and they were taking video of the ice cream parlor and of the police department and filming, Miyako's dorm and her school and her parents' house. I mean, there were people all over the place trying to get any bit of information to report on about this case. And despite there being dozens and dozens of these live reports basically every day coming out of Hamada City about this case and about Miyako, there was one particular news report that took this case from being, totally unfortunate and sad and tragic and horrible to completely unbelievable and bizarre. Shortly after Miyako's remains had basically all been found, but they were still doing some recovery operations up on that mountainside, one of these kind of random TV reporters who was in Hamada City to report on this crazy case decided to set up their TV camera so it was pointing towards the dark entrance of that spooky forest that Miyako would walk through to get back to her dorm. And so this TV news reporter's got their microphone and, they're standing with the forest entrance right behind them, and the cameraman's filming, looking towards this opening of the forest. And the actual report was pretty generic. I mean, this reporter was basically saying, well, coming at you live from Hamada City, just outside of the forest where perhaps Miyako was killed. And it was just like that. It was just kind of talking about the case, and there was nothing to it. At least not to the TV reporter and the cameraman who were on site. Because for them, the entire report was pretty routine. They did their job, they got their shot, they got their report, and then they left. But they streamed it live. So while they were doing it, all these people are tuned in watching this news report live in front of this forest. And something really unsettling happened on this broadcast. While that news reporter was talking, another voice began to be heard by people watching this broadcast. And it was not the cameraman, and it was certainly not the TV journalist. It was a woman's voice. And there was no woman anywhere near the shot. And after the fact, the journalist and the cameraman would also attest that there was nobody around, it was just them. But this detached, very pained voice said very clearly, and all these people heard it live, "This is very painful. Why only me?"
広島県北広島町の我流山の林道の入り口です。今日の捜索は午後5時で終了し、私の後ろに張られていた規制線も現在は解かれています。
And so after this news report happened, this story, this case about Miyako, went from being just a Japanese story to being like an international sensation. Because everybody believed when they saw this video that that voice that was heard was Miyako's ghost, basically talking on camera. That's why you can't see her. It's her spirit communicating with the living world. However, despite that drawing even more attention to this case, it didn't remotely help the police actually solve the case. They still had no idea who did this. And that's how this case would stay for years, just totally stalled. That is, until 7 years later, when a police officer was conducting a routine police review of old criminal case files that hadn't been solved, going through them all to see if maybe evidence had been missed, and maybe that was why the case had not been solved. And so this police officer is looking through all these case files, and when they landed on the Miyako case, they did discover a piece of evidence that had been totally overlooked. It was the file of a convicted sex offender named Yoshiharu Yano. Yoshiharu was a 33-year-old man who had served time in prison.
It's like an anime character.
3 different women in Tokyo, which is 500 miles away from Yamada City, where Miyako was killed. And because of that 500-mile gap between Tokyo and Hamada City, Yoshiharu had been completely overlooked in terms of being a suspect in Miyako's murder.
That's pretty far.
Like he was too far away to be involved. But the police officer who was doing that routine review, they discovered that right before Miyako was murdered, this Yoshiharu guy had been let out of prison and decided to live in Hamada City. And on the night Miyako was killed, when she decided to walk into that forest, well, they found security footage of Yoshiharu's car driving along around that forest and up near that mountain where Miyako's remains were all discovered. And so this investigator who discovered this piece of information got permission from higher-ups to search Yoshiharu's home where he was living right then. And when they searched his home, they discovered a digital camera with 40 photos on it that would explain what happened to Miyako. It was very clear Yoshiharu had murdered Miyako because some of the pictures contain photos of Miyako and they are just horrible. But figuring out who Miyako's killer was not the end of this case. In fact, it wasn't even the most shocking part of this case. The most shocking part of this case is what happened to Miyako's killer, Yoshiharu, basically right after she was murdered, and that voice, that detached female voice, was heard on that TV news report. 7 years earlier, right around the time that Miyako's head had been found, and also after that voice had been heard on the TV newscast, some people who were driving in a car north of Hamada City began calling the police to report something very strange. They called the police and said, there is this small white Toyota Corolla car that has 2 people inside of it, and they've driven to the side of the road, and the driver is ramming over and over again against the railing. Like they're smashing into the railing, backing up, smashing over and over again, like the car is somehow in control. They don't understand how these people are not getting out of the car. Like, what are they doing? Traffic had stopped on either side. It was just totally nonsensical. And then by the time the police showed up, this car that was just repeatedly driving into the side of this guardrail, it burst into flames with the two people inside still clearly alive and looking terrified, and they caught on fire and died. Now, at the time, this did make the news. It looked very much like some sort of weird murder-suicide where the driver had intentionally, driven the car until it burst into flames and killed themselves and also their passenger. But it didn't really amount to more than just...
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
Because there was no connection to the Miyako case. This is like a totally isolated thing. However, 7 years later, when that police officer discovered the link that Yoshiharu was in Hamada City, and then they figured out, yep, Yoshiharu was the killer, well, suddenly, that totally weird murder-suicide took on a whole new meaning, because the driver of that car was Yoshiharu, and the passenger was his mother. And again, from eyewitness testimony, it didn't really make sense the way this all happened. It was almost like the car was possessed or something, that, the passengers couldn't control it. Now, who knows if that's true, but when you combine it with the sound of that female voice on the TV news camera that everybody assumed was Miyako's ghost saying, "This is so painful, why only me?" suddenly those words took on a new meaning. People thought, you know what it is? Miyako's ghost must have taken control of that car.
You lost me, man. Yeah.
And made sure not only Yoshiharu suffered and died, but his family member died as well, that she was seeking her revenge on her killer.
That's not what happened. If anything, I would say maybe his mom was like, "I'm going to turn you in." And he was like, "No, you're not." Or maybe she was like, "You don't even deserve to go to jail because you got out and did it again. We're going to die right here." I could see something like that, but no, the ghost wasn't possessed by a spirit.
As promised, here is a clip from the newest episode of the Bedtime Stories podcast. Enjoy.
Yeah, I don't really care about that, Mr. Bowen. Alright, W video. Interesting nonetheless. I was kind of interested in the voices. But not the possession of the car. that was just, kind of goofy. But that's going to be it for this episode, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. What was I going to say? If you guys enjoyed, I'm streaming every day this month. Halloween themed content, scary games, etc., etc. So make sure you guys follow if you want to be notified when I go live. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming to Red's World. Stay tuned for more to come soon. And I'll see you guys in the next stream or video.